Good morning. Thank you for being here. Basically, we're here to do what we call a startup on a new generator. They come from the factory. They have to be all installed. It has to have, and I'll show you a picture of the, in fact, I'll take a picture of that now, of basically the gas tank, and you'll see that in the presentation. That's propane. These will either run on natural gas or propane. Most neighborhoods in Florida do not have natural gas. And I'm real sorry on this lawnmower guy. In Florida, since it's warm all the time, we have year-round landscaping, and it seems like they always come when I'm working outside on the generator. Oh, there he goes. He must be doing a whole bunch of neighbors. Anyway, what we have here is a 24 kW, that's 24,000 watts of power production. It's what Generac calls air-cooled. Air-cooled meaning it's cooled by the air, versus a larger Generac that basically is liquid cooled with a radiator like a car and a fan belt and a fan, yada, yada, yada. When I first started doing generators many years ago, 18 years ago when I was young, basically, I didn't really believe in air-cooled, because I used to have air-cooled, I would not have air-cooled motorcycles because of the heat down here. But these push so much air from both the back, the sides, that they actually do very well. And they have an oil cooler. So when the oil comes out of the engine, it goes through the cooler. A lot of air around that coolant, so it goes, when the oil goes back in the engine, it gets a lot cooler. Now, the startup is like hoping that everything is good and nothing happened on the way or anything with the installation. What you see on the wall is what we call a service rated, in this case, 200 amp transfer switch. And what that does, it connects into the home, and when there's a power loss, the generator senses the loss, and what it does is it sends within 10 seconds, it counts to 10. I don't know if you can count long in that, but it counts to 10 and basically starts up. And when it gets up to the correct power, now that's very important. If the generator is putting out the wrong power, it won't do anything, which is good. After 10 seconds, it sees the power is correct, the same power that you would be getting from a utility. It basically tells us the switch to flip its connection from the utility connection down to the generator connection, and it stays that way until basically you find that when your power comes back on, the generator counts again to 10 when it sees power from utility. Then it says, okay, I'm ready to quit. It flips the transfer switch back from the generator connection to the utility connection, and the generator will run for about about a minute and a half under no load to cool itself down. Then it's all ready to go again. If you lost power within another 10 seconds, it would go into that. That's about what we have here, and you'll see me going through what I do. I checked all the gas connections, and we will be starting it up shortly, and you'll see it start up, you'll see it verify. Now what I had to do first is I had to call Generac, and I had obtained from the customer her name, address, phone number, email address, and also her Wi-Fi password. because these come with a built-in Wi-Fi. So basically, as long as the customer, and this sometimes doesn't work this way, but as long as the customer has enough power, enough Wi-Fi out here to the antenna, they basically will have Wi-Fi, and they can keep an eye from their home, or, you know, middle of the night, they can always check to see to make sure their generator is the way it should be. Okay, so now we're basically ready to, you know, ask any questions. Don't worry, ask any questions. This is the famous building permit. In Florida, you can't even think without a building permit. Okay, now somebody already put a battery in this, and that's why this is so much like a car, because it's got a battery. This is an oil filter. This is, in fact, I have to do this to verify it came out of the factory and somebody didn't go to lunch and forget to put oil in it. So we're good there. And we're about ready to go through this. Now, what I'm going to be doing, as I said, I have the gas is on. It looks like it was done well. And now I'm going to do a startup. And keep your fingers crossed. Now I'm putting in the activation number. If you don't have an activation number, the generator will only start in manual mode versus automatic mode. So in other words, you wouldn't have it where, as I said earlier, that it's all automatic. But you've got to get that activation. What that does also is, as of today, when I called about 30 minutes ago, the warranty, which I don't even know on this particular unit what it's either 5 years, 7 years, or 10 years. I can look at it when I, you know, look at the file. But this will literally, starting today, it will be the warranty plan starts today that she has. All right, we're going down. Now we're going to put in the actual activation number that I got from Generac. Okay, it's 3 6 7 2 2. And now we go ahead and set the time. The date, the year, just doing some more setting. Excuse you sitting there. I hope you have something to drink, or if you have to go use the restroom, go ahead. I'm going to be wait for you. Okay, now we're ready to do a startup, and as I said, this is the moment of truth, because this, you know, when they get transported and these come down from Waukesha, Wisconsin, and you know, you never know how they get shipped, and forklifts are sometimes one of our biggest enemies. They go right into the side of a generator with a forklift. No one ever tells anybody they did it, so here we go. All right, so now we're gonna go ahead and start. Well, we're not gonna go ahead and start because the battery is low. So I have to put a new battery in. I'm gonna put it on hold until I finish. Hey, welcome back. Just had to put the new battery in. The battery went over on this side, and now you're looking at both the generator and the transfer switch. I had to move a little bit because of the sun. Anyway, now we're ready for the first start, and I keep my fingers crossed. Oh, by the way, first I have to switch the generator. It comes out of the factory to run on natural gas. So we have to do a setting to change it over. Talking about natural gas and propane. Propane's a better gas. It has more power potential than natural gas. Gasoline has twice as much as propane, but gasoline is not a good, you know, sit around the clock day after day in a tank like we have there. Propane will never go anywhere unless you are using it or you have a leak. This sometimes gets very hard to turn. Okay, finally. It's only a switch that has to basically go, do basically a half turn. But sometimes it gets a little stuck. All right, now we're ready to do startup. And we keep our fingers crossed. What's happening now is the gas has to get into, because obviously the lines, but everything's on, so we gotta wait for gas to get enough up to the generator. Okay, well, we're almost there, I think. Well, close. Well, most of the time they start up. Sometimes they don't. And then you have to do whatever it needs to get it going. What you saw me do when it got up to full RPM, which is in this case 3,600 RPMs, you won't be tested on this. Basically what happens is I check internally with the controller in the generator that it's putting out the right power, 240 volts, split into two 120, 120, and the big E is 60 hertz, 60 cycles. You've probably heard that discussed about, you know, in the United States, everything power-wise has to be, whether it's 120, like a TV, or 240, an air conditioner, it's got to be at 60 hertz. Anything more or less can, and I don't mean very much of a change, is not good. So bottom line, my meter has the capability of not only checking voltage, it also can check hertz. And if it had a problem, we basically would have to make sure and correct the power issue. What I'm going to do now is I put the machine in auto, and what I'm looking for is a green light, a steady green light, and that means that it's communicating back and forth to the transfer switch. And now I have to just check what we call control wires. Those are wires that basically control the generator itself, not the power wires that have power go back and forth and running for the home. Sometimes it's a little hard to get at because it's a little tight. Gotta get a phone call. Hey, Chris. Okay, I had to take a phone call, thank you. Anyway, bottom line, I just verified that we have 6 control wires going to what we call a transfer relay. And again, you won't be tested. 3 of the wires actually are what we call 120. That's regular house 120 that you would have to a TV. One of them is for powering and charging the battery and powering the controller. The other 2, they're called N1, N2, they're only there. Their only job in life is to monitor the FPL power. So when the generator sees that the power has dropped on N1 or N2, usually it's both, but anyway, when it sees that, that's when it says, okay, I think we're out of power. I'm going to count to 10, and then I'm going to start up, and the other 2 control wires, their DC voltage, they basically, in essence, are responsible for transferring this switch, this yellow switch, if you can see it, that's in the generator, the utility position. it will ground out one of the wire 23, and it removes the electric current in the top coil, energizes the lower coil, it pulls the switch down to the generator connection. And again, it stays that way until power comes back. It will see it on those two, N1, N2. It then will say count to 10, and then it will re-energize wire 23, which will now drop the power in the lower coil. It's like an electric coil, and will energize the top coil, and it pulls the switch back up to the FPL or utility connection. So that's basically, we have to verify that's going to happen at 4 o'clock in the morning. Also on this generator, and this is pretty much will be the end of the presentation, basically we put monitors on them. Now in this case, this particular 24 kW came with a Wi-Fi system, and the customer has enough signal out here, which is good because a lot of people don't, and we end up needing to put a Wi-Fi extender to get Wi-Fi out to this side of the home so the generator can be added to the network. And what it does is it tells the customer whatever's going on. Things okay? Is something wrong? Is there a battery problem? Is it in what we call fault? Fault means something's happened and the generator isn't going to do anything until somebody comes, like me, to take care of what the fault is. And that could be low oil, could be low battery, it could be what we call an RPM sense loss, a multitude of things that can go wrong. But with the monitor, we stay on top of them, so when the customer loses power, they have their generator. Anyway, thank you for being here and helping me, and I hope this is a benefit and you've enjoyed it as I have, or will enjoy it. Thank you.